What it do, bruh? Talk of the town, Nintendo, Doc Trey, still holding it down, still make the best games, and you know this, bro. It's the truth. If you don't like it, you can have that seatbelt. All right, so the closed beta for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 just started today, and a couple of few lucky YouTubers have actually had access to this closed beta due to being, I guess, part of Call of Duty Next. So there's been a handful of influencers that actually got to go hands-on with the Nintendo Switch 2 version of the beta, because right now the beta is just for PlayStation and Xbox players that were that pre-ordered the game. As we know, the Switch 2 version is not up for pre-order yet, not until next week, and next week is when there's the open beta for everyone to check out, and that includes the Switch 2 version. So, a few people have had access to the Switch 2 version of this beta, and like I said, I was not one of the people that have access, so I'm judging these impressions based on the gameplay that they provided. So I realized that, if I play the game for myself on my TV, on my Nintendo Switch 2, it's going to look a little bit better. But right now I have to go off what they've shown so far. I watched a few YouTubers. The first person I saw that had the footage up was Botox Games. I watched some of Thunder Stash's stream, and also Switch Force has put up a video showcasing gameplay from the Nintendo Switch 2 version. And based on what I've seen of the gameplay that they've shown, I watched it on both my computer and on my TV, and the doc's not impressed. I'll just keep it 100 with you guys. I do not find that impressive. Like not one bit. With the games and the ports and the stuff that we've seen that the Switch 2 is capable of, seeing that, I am not impressed one bit. Now, have to realize that this is an unfinished game. This is a beta. And if they're giving us access to a playable beta, that means this is obviously not the most current up-to-date version of the game. This could be months old. But at the same time, this game comes out in 2 months. It needs to go gold pretty much within the next month. So, yeah, there's that. But based on what I've seen of their gameplay, honestly, I can't lie. I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with that at all. Now, I knew that because it was Call of Duty, that they would pretty much target 60 frames per second no matter what. That's why I was kind of laughing at these people when they were talking about, oh, well, maybe it'll be 30 frames. No, it's Call of Duty. This isn't the Wii. It's going to be 60 frames per second, however they can get there. Well, yeah, it's targeting 60 frames per second. It's not 60 frames per second all of the time, but for the most part, it is 60 frames per second. The game runs pretty smooth. However, a lot of sacrifices apparently have been made. And based on that, and based on what I'm seeing right now, at least, like I said, this is unfinished, but based on what I'm seeing right now, this does not look very good. And I've seen some people that are like, oh man, this looks almost on par with the other. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And I guess that's just people talking that never played Call of Duty on the Nintendo system, or haven't played in forever. But those of us that spent some time that actually bought a Wii U and actually played Black Ops 2 on the Wii U and played Call of Duty on the Wii U realized that, yeah, this doesn't look that good. In fact, in a lot of areas, it actually looks worse than Black Ops 2 on the Wii U. Now, that could be due to a variety of reasons. Like, we don't know how much bigger in scope this game and these maps are compared to Black Ops 2. So that could be the difference maker there. It could just be more sophisticated physics. It looks like the player models have a lot more polygons in them. But overall, right now, judging by the footage they're showing, it just does not look very good. And in a lot of ways, it looks worse than Black Ops 2 did on the Wii U in terms of lighting, textures, like a lot of things. Now, the game targets 60 frames per second. But if you actually look at the videos, there's a lot of weird things that are going on here. So first of all, one of the things that you should notice immediately is when you aim down your sights, there's this really fuzzy, blurry, nasty looking texture that it shows, and it's very distracting. It kind of looks like the fuzzy hair on that the people had on Mortal Kombat 11 on the Nintendo Switch. Kind of looks like that. Like it's the visuals have dithering all over the place, and there's this nasty, fuzzy looking, blurry texture when you aim down your sights, and when you try to zoom into, like, it doesn't it doesn't look good at all. And this game has no anti-aliasing whatsoever, which is crazy. But that's my next point. I'm gonna talk about that in a second. But yeah, so it has a lot of really weird looking visual abnormalities, and also, even though it targets 60 frames per second, you notice that a lot of your teammates aren't running anywhere near 60 frames per second. Like, I saw a couple videos where, at least for even during gameplay, a lot of the people on your squad were running at like 15 to 20 frames per second. It's very noticeable. And that's a thing that you use to save pretty much like CPU headroom. This is something that they also, like, Nintendo actually even did with that Kirby game, where when you saw people, and actually even Nintendo even did that with Mario Odyssey, where you see people in the background, kind of further in the background, they're running at half frame, and then once they get closer, they're running at the full frame. But the problem with the Call of Duty is they weren't even far from you. They're right in front of you, and it's still running at half frame. So, yeah, I don't know. So, there's a few reasons why this game is looking, at least right now, the way it's looking. So, one is obvious, is the Switch 2 isn't as powerful as other systems. We know this. But also, another thing that's obvious is that the game isn't finished. This is a beta. This is just pretty much to test it online. So this isn't going to show you exactly how the game is going to look at launch. Right? So those are the things that's obvious. But what isn't as obvious is that this game, for whatever reason, features 0 anti-aliasing, which means DLSS, the Switch 2 secret weapon, is not being utilized in this game. Now the question is why? Why wouldn't they use DLSS in a game like this? Well, one of those reasons could be because of the type of game this is. So Call of Duty is a very fast-paced Twitch-type shooter, where frame rate is very important. reaction time is very important. Well, DLSS just happens to be something that it's a post-processing effect that adds latency. And latency, when it comes to Call of Duty in a shooter, a lot of shooters, is pretty much a competitive shooter, is pretty much kind of like the devil, right? So Cyberpunk is a first-person shooter that was on the Switch 2, and it had DLSS, but it was also a single-player only experience. This game is a online multiplayer game playing against a lot of people, so maybe they decided to not use DLSS because it added latency. But also, one of the reasons why this game both might not use DLSS and one of the reasons why the graphics aren't that good at all is because this game has cross-platform play with the other versions. And the reason why that is a big deal is because since the game has cross-platform online play with the other versions, that means that some of the tricks and some of the nips and tucks that a Switch 2 or a Switch version of a game could usually use cannot be properly utilized for this game when it comes to the online. And the reason for that is because when it comes to a lot of, so-called miracle ports on the Nintendo Switch and on the Nintendo Switch 2, they make smart cuts to the game and to the environment that aren't that noticeable, that can free up resources so the game can look and perform better. Well, since this game has online cross-platform play with the other versions, they can't do that as much. They can't trim the geometry down that much because they have to have the same structure in the game. Like, let me give you a crude example here. Let's say on the map that you're playing, there's a big van or there's a big truck right in the middle of the map. If this was a Switch 2 version where this game didn't have cross-platform play, if removing that big truck or van would free up a bunch of resources, they would do it, and you probably wouldn't notice that it was gone. But because this game has online cross-platform play with the other versions, that truck, that van, or whatever has to be there because it has to be the same exact experience because these people are playing the PlayStation, Xbox, Switch 2 version, Switch 2 players are playing the same exact game on the same exact map at the same time. So if they were to try to get rid of that truck or van in the Switch 2 version, it wouldn't make sense because the PlayStation version would have the van, the Xbox version would have the van. There could be a player trying to creep behind the van, and then on the Switch 2 version, it just looks like they're just standing there in the middle of the field, and you can shoot them. Or the Switch 2 version, you wouldn't be able to see the van, but you could see the person. You shoot them, and they wouldn't get shot. Like, it's cool that this game has cross-platform play. But that is also seems to be why one of the big reasons why the graphics aren't as good as they could be. But you never know. DLSS could still be added to this game later, or in this game, it's gonna look better at launch than it does now. But as it is right now, yeah, it's kind of disappointing to me graphically. Especially when we see not only what the Switch 2 is capable of, but even what the Wii U version of Call of Duty looks like. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Were you impressed by it? Did you think it looked good? Are you still going to pick it up? I'll probably still pick it up, but I can't lie. I am kind of disappointed with how the game looks. But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section.